What happens when a decorated Israeli officer trades his uniform for the shadows of international mercenary work? When the line between patriot and profiteer blurs, the result is a story that stretches from the jungles of Colombia to the highlands of Sierra Leone. This is the tale of Lieutenant Colonel Yair Klein, soldier, trainer, arms dealer, fugitive, a man whose name evokes fear, suspicion, and unanswered questions. Welcome back to Quirky Docs. Today we dive deep into one of the most controversial figures to ever emerge from Israel's military ranks. Yair Klein was born in 1942 in British-controlled Palestine, growing up in a world of conflict and survival. Like many of his generation, military service wasn't a choice, it was destiny. Klein climbed the ranks of the Israel Defense Forces, serving in elite paratrooper and special operations units. By the late 1970s, he had reached the rank of lieutenant colonel, gaining a reputation for discipline and tactical innovation. But for Klein, the battlefield was more than service to country. It was a training ground for a future career that few could have imagined. After leaving the military, Klein followed a path familiar to many ex-soldiers: private security. But this was the 1980s, and private security meant more than just guarding malls or VIPs. It meant training militias, selling arms, and playing in the grey zones of global conflicts. Klein founded Spearhead Ltd, a private company that specialized in training and equipping paramilitary forces. And soon, the phone started ringing, not from governments, but from warlords, drug lords, and militias looking for an edge. Colombia, 1980s. The nation was in chaos. Left-wing guerrillas like FARC were fighting the state, while drug cartels like Pablo Escobar's Medellin cartel were flooding the world with cocaine. Landowners and drug barons alike wanted protection, and they were willing to pay. Enter Yair Klein. Through Spearhead, he allegedly trained right-wing paramilitary groups, the same forces that would become the AUC, known for their brutality. Colombian authorities later accused Klein of teaching death squads how to assassinate, how to torture, and how to disappear their enemies. His presence was like gasoline on an already raging fire. The Colombian government was furious. In 1990, a court convicted Klein in absentia, sentencing him to 10 years for training paramilitaries. But Klein was long gone, back in Israel. His defense: he claimed he was hired by Colombian officials themselves and that he was merely doing contract work. The truth remains murky, but the damage was undeniable. Colombia's paramilitaries would go on to commit some of the worst massacres in the nation's history, and Klein's fingerprints were all over their formation. But Colombia wasn't Klein's only playground. In the 1990s, he surfaced in West Africa, offering his services to governments and militias alike. Reports place him in Liberia and Sierra Leone at the height of the region's brutal civil wars. In Sierra Leone, child soldiers armed with machetes and AK-47s became a global symbol of cruelty, and international investigators accused Klein of supplying weapons and training to factions involved. Once again, Klein denied direct involvement, painting himself as a businessman caught in the currents of chaos. But international watchdogs saw something darker: a mercenary profiteer fueling conflicts from the shadows. By the 2000s, Klein was wanted in multiple countries. In 2007, he was arrested in Russia on an Interpol warrant issued by Colombia. Extradition seemed imminent, but Klein fought back, claiming he would face torture or death if sent to Colombia. Surprisingly, the European Court of Human Rights intervened, ruling that extraditing him would violate his rights. Klein walked free, an international fugitive who had slipped through the cracks once again. Today, Yair Klein lives in obscurity, largely hidden from the public eye. To some, he's a villain, a mercenary who sold his skills to the highest bidder, leaving a trail of blood across continents. To others, he's a scapegoat, a man who operated with at least tacit approval from governments, only to be abandoned when his work became inconvenient. His story raises uncomfortable questions. Where do we draw the line between private security and mercenary work? Between defense and terrorism? between patriotism and profiteering. Yair Klein's life is a mirror reflecting the murky world of modern warfare, where state actors, private contractors, and criminal enterprises often overlap. His story may never have a neat ending, but it forces us to confront the gray zones that shape our world. Was he a soldier without a country, or a profiteer without a conscience? That's for history, and for you, to decide.